the only way to ensure that the Mullah regime does not get nuclear weapons or mass ballistic missile capability, which they're in the process of doing with CHICOM and Putin assistance, is for the Mullah regime to go. There's a reason why I posted in the discussion board with regard, not to disagree with you, I'm saying to further elaborate when you said, there's a reason Senator Rubio said what he said in 2015 and why that then Senator Rubio's statements have gone viral, right? It's to that very effect. 60%, you've done 80% of the work, it's or 90% of the work, then it's a real quick jump. You're right about the assessment of how the Mullah regime almost assuredly is trying to game this out to give them to survive or defer a strike, which I don't think they're going to be able to do. Either defer or survive. That's their thinking. And while still maintaining the ability to tighten the window regarding breakout, right? In other words, like it won't even be 2 weeks. The other issue is, and this is something that the lieutenant colonel brought up in one of the previous shows that you posted yesterday on your channel. He had said that members of the Pakistani government offered to provide the Mullah regime whole turnkey systems, nuclear warheads, to attack the state of Israel. That's one of the alternative means or avenues of procurement the Mullah regime can indeed pursue. With regards to the Mullah regime right now, they're rebuilding their ballistic missile capability, actually expanding it to the point where they can produce 300 solid fueled, like short, intermediate, and medium range ballistic missiles a month. And the reason they're doing that is because they want to overwhelm any missile defense that the Iron Dome and or David Sling, the integrated air missile defense system that the state of Israel has put up, at least as it's traditionally defined. We're not taking into account things like directed energy. The point is the Mullah regime has to go, right? And it's going to fall either way because structurally there's all kinds of things in place now that lead towards its collapse. It's how do you ensure the least amount of damage is caused in their collapse? I would contend the least amount of damage is we strike the Mullah regime, and it should be a comprehensive strike. Why am I saying that this administration is still leading towards that? It's very clear we're setting ourselves up to carry out mass strikes. That said, because of the material support the mullahs are getting and the deepening target set, that's always a moving target. We moved missile defenses from Okinawa and or the Far East to the Middle East. That's not a small move. They just sat there and stopped the F-22 flyover yesterday that was scheduled to go over the Super Bowl. And the stated reason by the Department of War was it's being allocated towards operational, carrying out legitimate operations in certain areas. I don't think they actually told where. That's all I wanted to expand. Sorry about if I was like I meandered a little bit. I just wanted to sit there and elaborate on the idea of what the options are available to the Mullah regime surrounding obtaining, different alternative means they could use to obtain nuclear weapons or WMD capability. That's why the Mullah regime has to go.
All right, let's go to the list.
Yes, next we have Danny.
Okay, really quickly, I just noticed that Mosab Hassan Yousef posted a couple of hours ago, "No kings, no mullahs, free people."
Wow, so he's basically supporting the MEK with that chance. He's doing it, honestly, fuck that man.
Yeah,
Wait,
I don't know.
is that specific to them, or you're saying supporting MEK because he's saying no to monarchy?
No, that's a famous MEK chant. No kings, no mullahs is a famous MEK chant.
Yeah,
Nara,
So
do you want to?
full blown now.
Yeah, it's a very famous MEK chant. And by the way, Nara, do you want to? Can we get Nara actually giving a full summary of everything regarding Musab and because Nara wanted to actually talk about this at some point. So before Danny, sir, is that okay? Before we go to the rest of your points, we get Nara to actually.
I
speak
don't
to
have the rest of my point. I just wanted to draw attention to it, and I
Yeah.
posted the link in the chat. And I'll also describe that.
Nora, actually, can you give us your opinion? For people who might not even know what the context is, can you just explain to us what the situation with Musab is, and then add your opinion to it?
Yeah, so I'm actually the next speaker too, so this works out. I've actually been following every single post that he's been posting from the beginning. First of all, he ignored completely the protests.
Wait, first
Yeah,
explain to people who he is, like full context, like who
okay.
is this guy before? Yeah.
So Mosab Hassan Yousef is the son of Hamas, he calls himself. He is the son of one of the founders of Hamas who defected and joined the Israeli intelligence and worked against terrorism against the Jews for years. And so he has the trust of so many Israelis due to his stance on Hamas and Palestine. And we have had that same trust kind of in him too over the last few years. But now, for when it comes to Iran, throughout that last 3-4 years, I've noticed some things that he was posting were a little bit weird, like a bad taste in my mouth regarding a free Kurdistan. But I kind of like ignored it, as we do when random people talk about a free Kurdistan. As we've learned, we say, oh, who cares what they say, you know? But now with the protests in Iran, when it began, first of all, he ignored that all of these people are out protesting. No post about that. And then as time went by, the massacre happened, all these people are dead. And then now that Pahlavi's name is loud and clear all across the world, he started going hard against Iran and Iranians. And he doesn't call it Iranians, but he likes to call us Pahlavists, as if that's an ethnicity or whatever. So that's what I wanted to bring up actually when I raised my hand, was the issue of separatism. Normally we don't really care what random people say, but my concern is that this person has a trust of many Israelis. And my concern is if this would affect the mindset of Israelis towards Iran. He's been very unhinged. He posted a picture of Sacha Baron Cohen as the dictator, and he kind of compared it to Pahlavi. He called Iranian protesters as having no backbone, quote unquote, and that Iranians in the diaspora, Iranian women in the diaspora should cancel their Botox appointments and go fight the IRGC, another quote. So he said so many mockery things like that against Iranians. And then 2 days ago, finally, he showed his true narrative, which was a free Kurdistan. He posted a map and everything, and he wrote a huge essay like paragraphs that he explained how he would get this done. And that is by having the Iraqi armed Kurds enter Iran from the Iraq border and kind of take control of the area and whatever. So he gave this whole explanation of how this can be done, and then further demeaning Pahlavi and Iranians. So that's kind of the gist of everything that's happening. And the reason that I'm bringing this up is I'm trying to figure out what is the right thing to do here. Are we supposed to push back? Naturally, that's what I would do. Just say, listen, you don't know anything about this, stay in your lane. Or should we ignore him like we ignore many other separatist speakers against Iran? And the only reason I'm debating this is because of the effect that this could have on the Israeli public.
I just wanted to add some context. Mosab Hassan Yousef isn't just some pro-Israel defector from Hamas or anything. After he defected, he worked for Shin Bet, the Israeli internal security organization, for 10 years, and he stopped dozens of suicide bombers. And then he went on every Piers Morgan or whatever and yelled very loudly in support of Israel. So it's not just
Why is he
supporting
doing
of
this?
Israel part.
What is he doing this?
My
Why?
personal opinion is that not everyone can be right about everything, and maybe
No,
he
no, no. I'm
just
not saying
understands
if he's.
only
I'm not saying if
Palestinians.
he's correct. I'm not saying what his what. My question is, what is his motivation?
That I can't speak to.
I think
I
that's a
have a
very
theory as
important
well.
thing to figure out, though,
I have a
because I
theory
think
as well,
that's gonna give
Armin.
you the answer on how to proceed. I think it's very important to figure out, because I think that's gonna give you your answer on how to proceed, is why is he supporting MEK? Like, what the hell happened? That
What? No, why is he so anti-Iranian people? Nara, you give me your theory. it can't be that like.
Nare lost her audio. She said she'll be right back.
Okay, I'm back.
Oh
I'm back.
god damn it!
So,
Exactly. We need.
Okay, here
Oh.
she is.
sorry, Samantha. I kind of missed what you said there
No,
because my audio went out.
just give us your theory, Nara. Why do you
Yeah.
think he's doing this?
I think this part of it could be just root back to the old roots of Arab/Iran Persian hate, because the language that he's using is far beyond geopolitical disagreements. The way that he's speaking about Iranians in general, the mockery language that he's using, this is far beyond geopolitics, in my opinion.
So he's not giving any arguments, right? Like
No,
he's just basically just anti-Iran, but with that,
Well,
with zero argument.
no, it
Yeah.
seems
Well,
that
no,
is
it's anti-Iran, but his arguments are also that if Pahlavi goes back, there's going to be further chaos and a power vacuum. You know, the old anti-Pahlavi arguments that he doesn't have support, the same stuff that,
He,
if
he
the
doesn't have
Ayatollah,
support. Like,
yeah,
well,
yeah.
if he wants the Islamic Republic to go, that will create a power vacuum. The only thing that could fill that power. So what is his alternative? Like, what he wants? Like, if he wants Ayatollahs to go, then what would that fill that power vacuum?
Yeah. So 2
What
days ago, he said a free Kurdistan will bring peace in the region. That's what he posted.
if
because
Kurdish,
because obviously,
that would obviously start internal war for decades to come.
and not just internal war in Iran, but 4 other countries, because we all know a free
Yeah.
Kurdistan involves Turkey and Iraq and Syria.
If you want 4 countries to have a civil war, like internal civil war with each other and within each other and against each other for the past couple of decades, just yeah, sure, advocate for it. That's by the way, this is why Israelis need to understand a free Kurdistan is really, really like that. The attempt to have a Kurdistan as a country is devastating to Israel because you're basically bringing 4 countries closer to the edge of being a failed state, which is perfect environment for more terrorist groups to grow against Israel. The instability would be so bad for Israel. I personally think that he's jealous because he was anti Hezbollah, anti Hamas, pro Israel, and the Iranians are so pro Israel, anti Hamas, and pro Hezbollah that they're basically getting attention away. We have basically it's kind of cool to be an Arab, a non-Israeli that is pro Israel, and there are now so many thousands of Iranians who are not Israeli but pro-Israel that is kind of making it seem not as unique and special anymore. And I think he hates that his position as a non-Israeli pro-Israel is now being challenged by millions of Iranians. I think that he's basically feeling jealous. That's my guess.
Yeah.
But
I have one more theory that I wanted to just add in there. I actually went and found his posts around the 12-day war. And he was very angry at the time that they didn't finish the job, that they did not remove the Ayatollah, that why is this happening? He posted, quote unquote, the United States' top priority must be removing the Ayatollah. Whereas now he's saying, no, we just have to push them in the corner so that we make them do what we want them to do, kind of like that narrative. So I was thinking maybe somebody's paying him now.
no, I don't think
Nare, can
so.
you check on him? You know, it doesn't have to be now, but can you check back through and see if there are any other MEK style posts? Because, Armin had mentioned jealousy, and certainly I can see that being a type of motivating factor, but that doesn't explain why he would have an MEK post. I mean, those.
Maybe he heard it online by the MEK and he's just like, oh, he just likes it without actually knowing that it's MEK because he's anti-Mullah and he's anti-Shah as well. So when he sees an anti-Mullah, anti-Shah chant, he was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to copy that. I don't know if he might be connected to MEK now, but maybe he just saw it and he was like, yeah, I like that. I'm going to go with it.
Potentially, but worked in intelligence. So I feel like
He's retarded. Like I don't
Yeah,
like the fact that he is like I always. By the way, guys, I always thought that this man is retarded. I haven't been saying that because I know a lot of Israelis liked him, but I always considered this man to be retarded.
You
Yeah,
have
so
our
I don't think he is very aware of Iranian politics at all. So I don't even think he knows like all these details, like MEK, who they were and who the people, aside from the Ayatollah, who they are. I don't think he knows what's going on in Iran. Like he could know a lot about Palestine and Hamas, but I think what you said, Armin, is more likely that he just saw something and he said, "Ooh, I like this."
Yeah.
So the base of the question was, how do we respond to this? Do you have, having walked through that, Armin, do you have a suggestion on how to respond?
I think given that he's not giving, like, if he had arguments, I would just basically respond to his arguments. But given that he's just like angry and just like basically swearing at the Iranians, I think ridicule is the proper response. And I think calling out him, saying he's jealous of the Iranian people because Israelis and Iranians have a strong bond with each other, and he was basically trying to like pointing at down and laughing at him. I think that's actually the best response. Ridicule, I
Okay.
think, is the best
Yeah,
response.
I was just thinking, should we just ignore this guy like we do with other people? But then he just yeah, like yesterday he was posting every 2 hours, and I was on a mission.
Just say like he's like, Israelis, pick me, don't pay attention to Iranians, I'm your special guy, please don't look over there, look at me. Like
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that's
yeah. Thank you, Armin.
So we are past the 10-minute mark on this topic, Armin. So I'll leave it up to you. Sammy and Samantha had both raised their hands to add on to this. Do you want me to add them to the list and move on, or let it happen now?
no, let's actually yes, also I saw that he also wanted to add something to this. Yeah, but it's okay, let's actually go through the people who wanted to add something to this.
Okay, go ahead, Sammy.
Hi, hello, Miss BT. You are looking beautiful as ever. I'd like to add to a point. People are not considering this insight. There is this huge energy demand, right? And the American lobby wants,
Wait,
yeah,
energy demand, we're talking about like, did you want to add to this Musab conversation? If
yeah, no, I don't. I just wanted
okay,
to,
so
yeah, add
let's
my
go back.
insight.
We'll get back to you when we get to your position on the list, guys. If you want to talk if you want to add to the Musab comment, just keep it very short because there are a lot of people on the list.
So
So
it's not about
Samantha,
Mossad comment, it's about liberation of Iran, but it's not about the Mossad comment.
yeah, so we will come back to you when we get to your position on the list. So Samantha,
Yeah. So I'm adding this to. Okay, I just put this in the chat. Yeah, so that's Mosab Yousef. That was his handler. So I've had this theory like pretty much forever that Mosab Hassan Yousef kind of trauma bonded, like, Stockholm syndrome with his handler. So I would just be very curious, like, what's it called? What is his handler's views on Iran?
oh,
Yeah.
I think that
okay,
might be
That's a
worthwhile.
very
really
good
good
point,
point.
and I would love for you to deep dive that and let us know what you find, because that's a very good
Okay.
point.
I
Like a
can
mentor situation, you pick up things from people. Yeah, very good.
okay, yeah, I can deep dive into that.
Also, just
Okay,
check on his sales of his book and the rating he has lately, because he might be just gone broke. So MEK is a good source of money.
yeah,
I
yes, you
yeah,
wanted
I
to add something?
don't. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure.
So I don't think that they have anything to do with MEK. He hates communists and stuff like that. I think that the main thing here is mostly about the Kurds. So I think that he support in general Kurds separatist, and that is the whole deal. And like if then maybe talk with Kurds or something like that. I know that there were some things that happened between the Kurds and dynasty and stuff like that. If you ask me, that is probably the main reason for all of his remarks, not anything else. I know that you are against separatism. I'm just saying that that is probably the main reason, not something against
So
Iranians.
one thing we could do is we could get Iranian Kurdish people to tell him to fuck off. Say, I'm a Kurd and fuck off. Like, that would be a good way to push back against him. Nare, that would be a good campaign to get Kurdish Iranians to come out and say, I'm Kurdish and fuck off. Yeah.
Yeah, I've already seen many people, like all the Iranians are on it. But at the same time, he has 300,000 followers, but each of these posts are getting maybe 400, 500 likes. So that was my hesitation on, should we actually give him attention or should we just let him say whatever he wants? That's why I was reluctant a little bit.
Good points. I think he needs a response though, because
Yeah.
even if his posts are not going to get a response, he's probably going to get invited to somewhere big, and he's going to add this to his points.
Yeah,
You know, to
true. Okay.
Fox News, yeah, on
Yeah,
Piers
you're right.
Morgan, on Fox News, yeah.
Also, Tulsi gave his mind on that. He went hard on him, actually, lately.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well,
Tusi went
everyone
off.
on X is going off on him. So, yeah.
No, Tulsi like did it on his report. Was
Yeah,
like on news.
he was like kind of F-bombing, but he doesn't say the whole word. So he says like, I forgot what he was doing. He was like self-censoring, but he went pretty off on it. Yep. Okay. And Nare, I
I
love
think
the point that, a lot of Israelis, the biggest reason, and a lot of Jewish in diaspora, we know him as being a person who is strongly on the right side of a conflict that felt very obvious to us. And so to have him now in this conflict doing something very against Pahlavi, it's very concerning. So I
Yeah.
appreciate that concern very much.
Yeah, because I did notice a couple of comments that were saying they were Jewish and they were saying, well, maybe he knows something we don't. So it's like, I don't want this to change the mindsets of Israelis towards the truth about Iran and Iranians. That was my main concern.
I don't think there's a risk of that, except insofar as people who don't know any better just assume that he's not insane. I noticed that he seems to be drawing energy from what he views as haters when everyone tells him Kosananat to his bullshit about
Oh my god.
content.
Yeah. He
Anyway,
posts like a random map of a free Kurdistan, which includes territories of Iran, Iraq, Syria, and Turkey. So I posted one map that the whole Middle East is divided into two. One is Israel and one is Iran. So that's my proposal for the Middle East. Thank you.
All right. Okay, let's go to the next
Okay.
one.
Also, if the Pahlavi thing for any reason doesn't work out, Nare is my number 2. So next, Daniel Dome.
I watched that video of that guy who ended his life. It was also on a Tusi video, and it just crushed
Oh,
me in so
but
many levels.
I think we shouldn't talk. By the way, guys, I think we shouldn't talk about that. Let me actually read this from Susie. Okay, so here. So let me actually read this thing. I know that there's that video of that Iranian guy making an appeal to Trump. It's very important that we do not show that on the stream. That type of content is extremely triggering for people. A lot of people have been sharing that video on social media, and it is extremely irresponsible. I wanted to give you So I think, like, guys, especially given that so many Iranians right now are not in a good situation, I think sharing that video could actually cause more people to consider it. So I think that maybe we shouldn't be touching on that topic,
No,
because
but
I have
I
gotten
I
so many
wanted
Iranians contacting me saying that they want to do something similar, and I have had a really hard time trying to get them out of it. So I
so
think we shouldn't.
that's my point. I wanted to spread the thing that don't listen to what Trump says, watch his deeds. Is there a way to reach more Iranians to explain them that they shouldn't fall for that? Like they should just wait, because like explain them that there is a much more needed force rather than just a USS carrier ship, and that
Yeah, I mean that's what
if
we're
the
doing here. Yeah.
because the 12-day war is, if we compare it to like insurgents, The
So
12-day
let me.
war.
So Daniel, you're trying to say that the war that Trump is preparing for requires a lot more preparation,
Yes,
then
and
that's why it takes long. Okay.
let me just finish it. The 12-day war was like applying a broke bone gips. I don't know how to say it in English. Like if you break a leg and you go to the hospital and they just apply you
Cast.
cast.
Yeah, it's a cast what they put on you.
Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about. And the what is getting prepared is like super complicated operation where every wrong move can kill the patient. So it's like an open heart surgery right now, what is getting prepared. I just want to make this point so more Iranians would be able to understand it and understand that yes, they've lost a lot of relatives, friends, and etc. But the thing is that now is the time you wait and watch.
Yeah, I
And
just want to say, Daniel, I really do appreciate the fact that you care so much. Like, it means a lot. Okay, I just want to say that.
and the other thing is I can't actually like maybe it's a question, I don't know, but I watched like the protests are massive if I understand it clear, and I approximated like that there is 5 million Iranians out of Iran. Is that a correct number?
Wait, what? The number of Iranians outside of Iran? I thought it was 10 million. Do you want me to check? Do you want
Approximately.
me to check? I have to double check.
Let's go on the minimal, all right? And even if we have 5 million people that are out of Iran, let's say 10% of them is young, capable individuals, right? If the rest will fund them and those half a million, and I'm lowering now the numbers, I'm sure there are much more. But if the rest funding those half a million and those half a million are getting military training, later on, they might be able to just get into Iran or maybe do some go by the Israel book because Israel what was in the before the Israel was before the 1948 lot of small militias such as Etzel, Lehi, Nili and etc were training in the French army, British army prior to the World War II in the German army. Some of them were in some Russian army or stuff like this. And then they just created militias inside Israel and they was acting toward liberating Israel also in the underground way. And I believe this is a playable thing. It's a playable model for Iranians. What do you think of it?
Jeffrey, do you want to respond to that? But can you keep it like really short if possible? Thank you.
He's talking about how can you best leverage the pro-Iranian protest elements within the broader Persian diaspora and co-aligned and other co-aligned actors where they can support kinetic operations either within Iran, right, and or in support of Iranian protesters. There's a reason I keep pushing the idea of adopting Ukraine's model army. The best way to do that would be to have, considering you won't call me, so fuck it, I'll just say it here because that's what you want. It is to have people within the broader Persian diaspora to create self-sustaining nodes that then sit there and build asymmetric kinds of capabilities that are then directly used to kill Mullah regime targets inside Iran. That's what you need to do.
So,
period.
So Jeffrey, I was actually going to talk to you about today calling you. The reason why I haven't called you is not because
I wasn't mad
I
at you,
don't want.
Armin. I know you. I know you're juggling flaming chainsaws. I'm not
Yeah, I
frustrated with
just to
you.
let you guys know, just to let you know, I did 12 hours of live streaming yesterday, like
I'm not
12
blaming
hours
you.
of. Yeah,
Hold on,
okay.
Armin. I
So
wasn't blaming you. I'm
Jeffrey,
just blaming the
what do you
process. That's all.
are you on? Do you have like WhatsApp or something like
I
Telegram,
do.
WhatsApp? Okay. Do you have Telegram by any chance?
Nope. I just have. I sent it to you in personal chat. I'm not mad at you. I'm
Yeah.
just mad
Yes.
at
No,
the
I'm
fact that
actually
we're
very seriously.
operating.
By the way, like, actually, I have a question because what you're suggesting requires, like, I don't even know if legally. I want to make sure. Like, I have to talk to Susanna about
It
this
has
as
to be
well
done legally. I understand that. Yep,
because
that's
I
what I
don't
mean.
want to
Legally
go
done.
on my Persian YouTube channel and tell people like, "Hey guys, go make these weapons and this is how you fight." So we could talk
So
about
one of
it
the things.
later.
No,
So
no,
Yeah, I
no,
know,
no,
I'm
I
no,
gonna.
know,
no,
So
no. Do
okay,
not do
let me.
it.
I'm gonna
Don't
continue.
do it. It's
So
bad.
yes.
what I was saying is that adopting Ukraine's model is they very much created like organizations that could legally provide and engage in such activities. That's why I said when I first came here, there's certain things you need to do. There's certain requirements you have to follow. There's certain regulations you have to meet. SNAP RR, State Department
YouTube
ITAR.
community standards, YouTube community standards as well.
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
there's a reason I keep pushing Ukraine's model.
Yes, yes. The way that we might want to discuss this is not to tell people what to do at all, but just basically go over the news of what happened in Ukraine without ever suggesting anything to anybody. That might be, but we have to talk about that, right? So let's continue.
You do know that this is all being recorded right now, so your intention is completely obvious, right?
No, my intention, I am actually telling people that we're just sharing information that we don't know if people are going to find useful or not. And we don't even know if this is a good idea, but it's an information that needs to be out there for anybody that might find it useful from an educational perspective. I'm being completely honest about that. And also, I do know that talking about what people do inside a revolution is not a violation of YouTube standards, but we're not going to do that either way just to be safe. But I know that I've seen many other people do that anyways, because the understanding is that the Iranian people are basically fighting a just cause. Like when Ukrainians were fighting against Putin, there were many military analysts suggesting what the Ukrainians should do, how to fight back against Putin, and none of that violated terms of service. But I'm not saying we're going to do that. I'm just saying that it can't be that bad given how many videos on YouTube were there discussing war strategy. So, but again, I am like, don't worry, Susie, we're not going to do anything without me talking to you first, okay? So, yeah. All right.
Okay, next we have Rebecca.
Hello, my question is for Armin. Given Islam's influence on day to day life and living, it seems likely to me that Islam can heavily influence cultures that are under its influence for long enough. However, many countries and cultures are under the influence of Islam and they are not all the same. Many of the bad things associated with Muslims are dismissed as culture in the West, but I don't think the vast majority are able to separate culture inspired by Islam and culture separate from Islam. So, of the Islamic nations and cultures that you know, are there any common cultural threads, practices, beliefs, and perceptions that you think can be traced back to Islam? If so, what are they? And are there any that buck the trend? Of those that do buck the trend, do you know why?
Wait, so to understand your question, you're suggesting that among all of the diverse cultures that we see in Islamic countries, can we identify which ones are Islamic? Is that what you're asking?
I'm wondering in what way Islam has influenced,
Right.
some of them, and how and why, because there is this common thing in Western circles of, it's not Islam, it's just culture, you know.
Right.
But and some of
So
it might be culture, but it might be culture inspired by Islam.
yeah, so we have to understand what we mean by culture and what we mean by Islamic, right?
Yeah,
So to me there's two things that when people say culture, they're talking about two different things, and they're so different that there should probably be two different words for it.
yeah.
So when there's one category A of culture are things like dance, music, calligraphy, architecture, food, fashion, right? These are category A. People refer to this as culture. And then category B is values, way of life,
Mm,
moral
Yeah.
standards. So that's category B. For category A, there's no objective way to judge category A. It's all subjective, and different people have different tastes. And the more of you, the more diverse, the better. It's fine, right? You could have as much of it as you want, and people could choose whether they want it or not, right? It's category B in culture that we're usually worried about, which we could actually judge as superior and inferior, right? And they are objectively superior culture, or moral, values, and objectively inferior ones. And what we're trying to do is the category B culture. We're trying to basically eliminate the inferior ones and make the superior ones dominate everywhere, right? So that's what.
Mm.
So if we're talking about culture and Islam, I'm more concerned about the category B part, not the category A, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to Islam, so we have Islamic culture, right? Islamic culture, when it comes to category B, is basically Islamic values and Islamic morality, okay, Islamic standards, way of life, right? I'm not talking about the way the mosque looks. I'm not talking about Quranic calligraphy. I'm not talking about the Sufis dancing. That's category A. I'm talking about the values, the moral standards, the way of life. So that's Islamic culture. And to me, whatever is in the way you could determine if something is Islamic or not is not based on whether it's happening, is coming from the areas where Muslims happen to be living, right? So, for
Mm.
example, something could come from a place where many Muslims live there, but the culture is pre-Islamic or even un-Islamic or even anti-Islamic, right? To me, I determine whether or not it is Islamic or not based on the geography that it's come from, but based on whether or not there's any connection to the Hadith or the Quran. So to the Sunnah, to Muhammad's Sunnah or the Quran. If that's the source, I call it Islamic. That's how I
Yeah.
identify something as Islamic. It's not based on what Muslims do, because Muslims are influenced by so many different things. It's based on whether or not it comes from the Quran and Hadith, right?
Yeah.
So does that is that a fair categorization in your opinion?
Yeah. I see what you mean. It's like in the UK we have problems with things like the grooming gangs and things like that, and there has
Right.
been accusations that there is a religious motivation tied to that, and
Right. So
some people are trying to.
this is how you determine whether or not. So there's two ways to look at it, right? So first of all, you look at it empirically, and then you look at the source material that might influence this type of behavior, right? So if you look at it empirically, you can see like honor killings and those types of behavior that you're mentioning is very common in Muslim communities, no matter what the background is, right? For example, let's look at honor killing. Is honor killing Islamic? Well, if you look at Islamic communities, regardless of their ethnicity, regardless of their previous culture or like their own ethnic or historical culture that was not Islamic, you can see that honor killing is very, very common everywhere that is Islamic. Like if you control for ethnicity, it doesn't seem to be the thing. If you look at their non-Islamic culture, it doesn't seem to be the factor. If you control for everything else, it doesn't seem to be factor. But you can see that the highest places that have the highest amount of honor killing, there seems to be, like, if you compare Hindus versus Muslims compared, like India and Pakistan, right? They have the same ancient history, same mix of ethnicities. So many of the same things about them that are same, but one is mostly Hindu, the other one is Muslim, and you can see the Muslims have more honor killings than the Hindus. So it's just empirically, it just seems to have to do something with Islam. But the problem is, like, a Muslim will come tell you, well, there's nothing in scripture, like in Hadith or the Quran, that endorses honor killing, right? And they would have a point. But this is how Islam is still to be blamed. Islam normalizes beating women. Islam normalizes the idea that you have ownership over women. Islam normalizes the idea that the shame associated for sexual misbehavior from the women in your family, that shame belongs to all of the family. So even though Islam doesn't go and doesn't have a command to, oh, go kill your daughter if she had like sex, with somebody that she shouldn't have, it doesn't say that. But the combination of these attitudes towards a woman and the cost associated with the shame coming from a woman in your family misbehaving sexually, it creates an environment where honor killing is more likely. Does that make
sense?
Right. So also, for example, with this grooming gangs, or basically the idea that non-Muslim women are fair game, they're inferior to Muslim women. They're basically, these are non-Muslims. They're supposed to be property. Like Islam teaches all of that, right? Non-Muslim
Mm.
women are women that you could capture in war, and they're supposed to be property. You don't need to be treating them the same way that you treat Muslim women. These all are Islamic. And even if the people who do this don't really follow, like understand or follow Islamic teaching, the fact that that is, the scripture has an effect into the general, feelings that people in that community have towards certain groups of women. You don't
Yeah.
have to be an Islamic scholar to have this attitude or have this belief, but the fact that the imam in your mosque believes that and says things like that, that it generally, and basically also teaches the mosque also have programs for your children, and it just creates a mindset as a base for everything to grow upon, that take things in that direction. On average, not all Muslims think like that, but the average leans towards that type of thinking. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
the effect is indirect. It's not like the Muslim goes and reads the hadith, or like, oh, okay, so I can do this. It doesn't work like that. It's more about the scripture having, it's more indirect. The scripture has an effect on the imams or the mosque teachers or the teachers in schools, and they create a base, or like a framework. Basically, it's like the soil is rotten, and then what grows in it is rotten as well. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, nothing good grows out of it. It's not like the people follow the scripture word by word, but it just tends to move in that direction.